Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun with Benzion, Kesubos daf test number 9, arguably the most famous daf in Shas, the most famous sugya in Shas. If you speak to people in yeshivas, I don't know what the second most famous sugya in Shas is. I think everything's pretty distant after Pesach Pasuach. That's probably the most famous sugya in Shas. It's learned by yeshiva bachram who have no idea what these things are. So it's very hard to learn the sugya if you have no experience, you haven't been married, you have no experience with this. Like I mentioned in the earlier shir and the main shir, I think people should be learning the sugya after they get married, not because it's inappropriate to learn about these things. Just you can't understand these things. The purpose of Torah is to understand it. You're not going to understand it if you have no experience with these things. I want to say a big chiddush over here, and people should publicize this chiddush because it really throws every other chiddush I think about Pesach on their heads, the opposite of what everyone says, and really makes a lot of sense to me. The Gemara has two statements. One in Rabbi Elazar, which says basically on the top of Ted Amud Aleph, and there's a Shmuel statement on Ted Amud Beis. The maskana of the Gemara seems to be the same thing. The D'chiyah, you could say it's a D'chiyah, but it could be the maskana. See, the maskana of the Gemara is the Mishnah is talking about a tainis damim. When he says she gets married on Wednesday, and they have bia Wednesday night, preferably because of the bracha, ledagim. So it's supposed to be Wednesday night, and the Kruri Daita were worried about Dafka getting married Wednesday night, so she come base and convenes on Thursday. He'll wake up and come to base, run to Basin. Why is that significant? He's running to Basin. We don't want his mind to cool off and not come to Basin. So Rashi on that base says, I didn't explain when I learned that base, I didn't explain it like this for the reason I'm about to tell you today. Rashi says the reason that they were so worried to come to Basin is because maybe she's an Eishes, maybe she committed adultery, right? After the Eresin, she was engaged. Now she committed adultery over there. It's very possible that she committed adultery, and we want him to make sure to prove it. He's going to come and say Pesach Pasuach, or the Maskana here says Tainis Damim. He says I was with her and she had a Pesach Pasuach, right? Maybe he's believed, right? He's believed La'asra Allah that she's a Pesach Pasuach, right? It wasn't him that made the Pesach Pasuach. It was after the Eresin. It was one suffix. We're talking the Maran Tenem and says one suffix, so 50% suffix, and even if it's 20% not Bikiyim Ba'atah, you're not a Baki over here, but there's at least a 30% chance, and 70% chance, right? She's Muteris, but 30% chance is enough to Aser, right? I mean, Safik. So either because Shavisi now at least he saw Aser to her, or maybe Rashi suggests maybe they should both be Aser to each other. That's why he has to come to Beis Din for the Isser, right? They shouldn't live together as a couple as Aser. Once you commit adultery, Aser l'bal, Aser l'bal, you're Aser to your husband. You're also the adulterer, the person you committed adultery with. That's why they're coming to Beis. That's the way Rashi learns Daf Beis. That's a basis on Daf Tes over here. But for sure in Shmuel and even in Elazar, the Gemara reverses. The Gemara thought to say we're talking about Tainis Pesach. The Gemara says no. The Kantai Dan is Damim. What is the Gemara saying? Let's stick with Elazar's statement. Elazar says Pesach Pasuach Neman Osralav. He's Neman to Asar, and the Gemara tries to prove isn't that what the Mishnah is talking about on Daf Beis? And the Gemara says lo. And he's tiny Pasuach, and the reason he's coming to Beis is for the Isser, to separate them, which Rashi basically explains in that base. The Gemara says, lo, the Katani Dan is dumb. So when the Gemara reverses course and says, lo, the Katani Dan is dumb, what is the Gemara saying? So the simple way, I think most Rishonim learn, and Rashi seems to learn this, Tainis Damim is a better claim. It's a better claim. Tainim verse Yosef, Rashi says, it's a more clear claim than Tainis Pesach Pasuach. Now, it's hard for me to understand this. What is he saying? He's saying, I have no idea if she has psulim or not. When he says Tainis Damim, he says, I went in, I didn't see any blood on the mappa when I wiped after the bia. Now, normally when you pierce the psulim, there's blood. So he's not saying anything. He's not telling you whether it's psulim or not. It's very possible she has psulim, right? And he just didn't go in hard enough, right? He didn't go in hard enough to pierce the psulim, right? Of course, we find that afterwards there's no psulim. We check afterwards there's no psulim. Sometimes he can't check, but his claim is that he has no idea what's going on. If he makes Pesach Pasuach, he really knows what's going on. He's saying, I went in the real way, right? I'm part of the Rov Bikiyim Ba'ataya. I know how to go in properly to make sure to pierce the psulim. Look on the Avav in my Chidushim. Listen to the Avav. You understand Rov Bikiyim Ba'ataya more. Through with the Lesa command that he's Baki. He knows how to make a hole. He knows how to make to go in. He's saying Pesach Pasuach. That's a pretty clear claim. He's saying I know I went in the right way. There's no resistance, right? It must be she was with somebody else who made a Pesach Pasuach. Tainis Damim. He has no idea whether there's psulim or not. He just has no blood, so he doesn't even know there's psulim or not. So it's not a Tainis Mureris Yoser. It's not a Pchusa. It's a less of a claim over here. So Rashi is seemingly learning Tainis Dami makes a clearer claim right? So we have no proof through Elazar that Pesach Pasuach is Neman Lo Love, but Rashi would learn that if he makes Tanis Damim in our Mishnah, that's what he's talking about in our Mishnah. If he makes a Tanis Damim, he comes to base on Thursday morning, he makes Tanis Damim, and then he can answer her. Pesach Pasuach, we don't know, because it's not Mavur or Yoser. But I would say no, that's not what we're saying. That the Gemara is reverting back to Mammon over here, not that because of Isser. The Tanis Damim, and Tanis Damim, like I'm saying, is a less clear claim, right? The whole reason, when he says Pesach Pasuach, the Gemara originally said, what do you say it's for money, the Mesav Laksuva, Nesav Laksuva, we'll give her the Ksuva. What do you mean gave her the Ksuva? He said, Pesach Pasuach Matzasi, right? We're believing him, so then he wasn't the one who did it, someone else did it, so he should be able to claim Mekach Toast, to lower a Ksuva from 200 to 100, she's a Bula. No, because when he says Pesach Pasuach Matzasi, maybe you're the one that made Pesach Pasuach Matzasi, right? Why do you believe this guy, right? He's an Ogea B'Davar over here. Why don't believe over him? We go back. We have no way of knowing whether it's somebody else or him. So we go back to our old Rov. Our Rov on Daf Vav says Rov B'Kiyim Bataya. Rov the Ruba Delesa Kaman, which is 80% chance that he's Baki Bataya. He knows they know how to prop her up with the pillow, and he's going to be penetrating her. So if he found no Pesach, we find afterwards that she's open, it was probably him that did it, right? So that's what the Gemara means, Nesav Laksuva, meaning even though he's the Muchsak, he has the money, and she has the Moti Mammon, right? Rov is telling us that it's him. You were the one that made the hole. So you were the one that made the hole. That's Rov, that's like Adam, so she can Moti Mammon. It's Nesav Laksuva, the Gemara says, give her the Ksuba. The Gemara says, low, the guy telling that is dumb, and the Gemara is going back. No, it's like I explained, it's not a clear claim. And therefore, the Gemara is saying, basically, he's coming to claim Tainus Dam, and when he claims Tainus Dam, he comes to Beis Din and says there's no blood, so that's not as strong of a claim as Pesach Pasuach. So therefore, it's more likely that he's part of that 20% that's not Bekim Bataya. So in clapping him, it's not 80 to 20%, it's 70 to 30%, 50 to 50%. He's making the odds more in his favor, right? That he's not Baki Bataya. He doesn't know what's going on over here. And we're checking after. We find that the Pesach this Pasuach, it's more likely that someone else did it and not him. So therefore, once you take away that 80%, even minimize it to 75%, that's not enough for her to be multi Mammon. That's why he's coming to Beis Din. He's losing her the Ksuva, Masayim, or the Ksuva entirely, because he's coming to Beis Din and he's ruining his Reisa, his weak claim. He doesn't know what he's doing. His weak claim is ruining her role, and she can't be multi the Mammon now. She can't get the Ksuva now. And that's seemingly the Maskan of the Gemara by Shmuel. The Gemara has another statement. Shmuel says, Omer Pesach Pasuach and Neman Lafsi the Ksuvasa. And the Gemara rejects that. And it says, maybe no. We had a mission, maybe a proof from a Mishnah on Daf Yud Beis, and the Gemara says, no, maybe it's the kind Tiny Tainis Dami. Maybe the Mishnah on Yud Beis is implying where he's towing Tainis Dami, not Pesach Pasuach. Pesach Pasuach wouldn't be Neman Osher Love. He's making a Vada claim, so he's part, at least part. We go with the Rov. Rov became Atai. He was the one that did it. Why should we believe him? But once he's towing Tainis Dami, so he's a Reisa in his claim over here, Reisa in his surety of what's going on over here. So therefore, it's no longer 80 to 20%. It's more likely he's part of what the people are not Pekiim Batai. The fact that he can't make a claim, whether it's Pesach or he's just making a claim about the blood, it's a weaker claim. So therefore, it ruins the Rov. She doesn't have a Rov anymore to most of the Mammon. Reisa, he's able to lose her the Ksuva. He's able to lose her Rov, and she can't get the Ksuva. I think this is the way of explaining the Gemara, which would explain the Gemara, Maskan, the Gemara, both according to Shmuel and according to Belazar in the same way. And the Mishnah, the reason it comes to Beis Din is that because he might come Tainus Dam. We don't want him to cool down. Tainus Dam, Torah Chasam Yisrael. Maybe he should save his money. Maybe she shouldn't be able to get the Ksuva out of him, or the full 200 zuz out of him, and that is the explanation of Pesach Pasuach. I think it's the real explanation of Pesach Pasuach. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Share this with the whole world, because this is the most important sugya in all of Shas. The most important sugya in all of Shas, Pesach Pasuach Matzasi, the most famous sugya in all of Shas. And I have just given you the first explanation that is maybe, I believe, the correct explanation in the sugya, which is correct explanation, the most famous sugya in Shas. So if you know this explanation, you know Shas. See you in the next one.